And to those who think this shooter is a hero because he did it because he said this healthcare executive was presiding over a healthcare system which kills thousands of Americans by denying them cover, what would you say to them?
It's I don't know.
I mean, he's not my type, but if he like saw me on Grindr, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure, let's.
For more on this, I want to bring in Terrence Monahan. He is the former NYPD chief of department.
When you look at it, there was so many tips coming in, so many different people who it could be. So
that's the most stereotypical voice that could have come out of this former NYPD cop. I can't believe how ravenous the chat has been for this one specific story. Of course it would happen while I'm not on stream. There was a manhunt and I wasn't here for it. Clearly very interested in this story of Luigi Mangione. I think I said it right. We have new details, timeline of events. Boom, here we go.
Tonight, new details emerging about who reported what and when during the manhunt.
Who snitched on this motherfucker?
Suspect Luigi Mangione. Could the NYPD have tracked him down earlier? We have just learned, according to two sources,
probably,
that the FBI actually initiated a phone call with Mangione's mom, Kathleen, on the Sunday before his arrest, where she told them the suspect photo, quote, could be him. Now let's look at the timeline here of how it all started. San Francisco police confirming that Mangione's mother filed this missing persons report for him that was back on November 18th, roughly 2 weeks before the shooting. United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was gunned down on December 4th. That's when a manhunt for the suspect ensued. A San Francisco police officer saw the wanted poster for the suspect and felt that he had some similar characteristics to the missing persons report. So on December 5th, that officer alerted the FBI in San Francisco, raising a flag about Mangione. Now, the FBI on the West Coast then passing the information along to its office in New York, and the FBI in New York then giving the tip to the NYPD, which says it was one of hundreds of tips that they received. But it was not until days later that Mangione was caught in Altoona.
The family apparently supports him.
The NYPD saying the day of his arrest that Luigi was off their radar.
That's most of the country.
That day. Some big questions looming at this hour. Could Luigi Mangione have been caught sooner? And what is the NYPD's vetting process when handling just a flood of tips? We speak with a former NYPD chief in just a moment. We are also going to hear from the CEO of United Healthcare's parent company, releasing this op-ed in the New York Times, acknowledging the healthcare system.
Okay, so this kid was 26 years old. He got named Luigi. That's totally by a parent that would have grew up with a Nintendo, right? They would have been like a teenager when a Nintendo came out, for sure. Like, what the fuck? You name your kid Luigi?
Is flawed. We got a lot to get to. NBC's Stephanie Gosk starts us off.
Police say Luigi Mangione was on the run for 5 days after allegedly murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The NYPD saying they didn't ID him until after.
Derby Mario.
But tonight, two senior officials tell NBC News someone did think they recognized the face in that now infamous photo from a Manhattan
That
hospital.
is a hell of a smile.
An officer in San Francisco made the connection to a missing person report filed by Mangione's mother in November and notified the FBI. It was one of...
I mean, he's not my type, but if he like saw me on Grindr and he's like, hey dude, and sent me pictures of his dick, I'd be like, and if it's a nice dick, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure, let's.
Hundreds of tips the NYPD says it received in the days following the murder, but it did not stand out to investigators because of its general nature, according to the officials. In the report, Mangione's mother said she last spoke to him on July 1st. On October 1st, a former classmate tells NBC News Mangione's cousin reached out to his high school
He
classmates,
couldn't fuck.
mentioning he'd been
Well, that'd
missing
be a
for months
reason to
and
go
suffered a back
homicidal.
injury. Mangione is now locked up in a maximum custody Pennsylvania prison, while the NYPD says investigators are still trying to determine a possible motive. United Healthcare says the 26-year-old was not covered by its health plan, but written pages found on Mangione mention the company by name, according to the NYPD.
He does make mention that it is the 5th largest corporation in America, which would make it the largest healthcare organization in America, so that's possibly why he targeted that company.
Suggesting the murder was more ideological than personal. The shooting unleashed a torrent of criticism aimed at the health insurance industry.
He was totally not an anti-capitalist.
Turn into
He was a right-wing chud.
All right, a key change in all the sequence here. Stephanie, thank you. For more on this, I want to bring in Terrence Monahan. He is the former NYPD chief of department and an NBC News contributor. Terrence, thank you so much for joining us. We heard initially from the family, the Mangione family. They were shocked and devastated by this. It was unclear what level of contact had or had not existed between his family and police. And then we find out that Kathleen Mangione actually had filed a missing persons report weeks before the murder, and that now the FBI had initiated a phone call with her prior to Mangione's arrest. What does this change, if anything, about this investigation?
When you look at it, there was so many tips coming in, so many different people who it could be. So
That's the most stereotypical voice that could have come out of this former NYPD cop.
everyone had to be vetted out. You had to take a look at it. You had to ascertain if they could have been in New York during that time period that the crimes happened.
Asser what?
So the family would reach out, and then someone would reach back out to them. Someone from law enforcement reaches back out.
They gave him a reach around.
What do you know about him? Tell me, do you think it could be him that did this crime? And then now you have to start looking at Luigi and see if he matches some of the electronics and everything else that was recovered from the scene.
Given the snapshots of photos that were released by police over the period of several days, do you think that that would necessarily be a
Stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason.
Their loved one, or is it hard to say?
I looked at that picture, and if it was someone I knew, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to identify him right off the bat. I would have a clue. I would think it's a possibility. Let me reach out. But if you look at a person's history, if you don't
He
think
really
that
likes
person is
reach
capable
arounds.
of such a heinous crime,
Yeah.
do you think, could this person I haven't seen in a while have done it?
Now,
You
that's
may think
exactly
it, you
who's
may not be
capable
sure
of such heinous
if it's him.
crimes.
You may not want to give out this information, have him be a focus of a nationwide manhunt if it's not them. So I could see a little hesitation.
Tell me about this. You said it yourself. Hundreds and hundreds of tips. How does the New York Police Department try to vet
Just the
through
tip.
all of these? If
Don't
they're
trust
flagged by
anyone
the
that says
FBI,
just the
but it's
tip.
kind of vague in terms of the potential connection. How would police officers and investigators know to go to the top of the pile? This must be the guy or could be the guy.
There is no top of the pile till you vet them. So you may have 50 different individuals that you're looking at. Now you take those individuals and you just get their alibi. Are they guaranteed to be out of New York during that time? So now you can quickly eliminate that group. Do you have a group that was in New York during that time? Well, let's see. Narrow that down and start working them. Once you get someone that may have been in New York, now you have a more intensive investigation on those individuals. But it's a lot of work, painstaking work, and we're talking over just a 5-day period with nationwide tips coming in.
It's a laborious process. Hindsight is 20/20.
If the eyebrows
Days to actually apprehend their man indicates there was a good amount of communication and work
Connect, you
between
gotta
the FBI
quit.
and the NYPD, or do you think things could have been done better?
I think the communication was tremendous. If you take a look at where they were, from what I understand, between some of the investigations that were going on in New York, the electronics that had been recovered, work that was done, they were closing the gap on him soon. They were going to be able to identify.
How could it be tremendous? How could it be tremendous? It seemed like it took a long time. It seemed like he actually wants to be caught. By the way, they're not playing his audio. This was when they took him in.
All right, guys, what's happening?
That's completely out of touch. And an insult to the intelligence of the American people and lived experience.
All right, guys, what's happening?
Completely unjust. Put your hands off my dick.
That's completely out of touch. And an insult to the intelligence of the American people and lived experience.
This is a lived experience. Unjust and an insult to the American people. This is a lived experience. I don't think there's a jury in the country where you can get all 12 people to convict him. He was just trying to eat a succulent McDonald's hash brown. They are good. That's probably the best thing on the McDonald's menu.
An insult to the intelligence of the American people and lived experience.
Got it from a couple different angles there. Before we move on, we've got to check out a couple more stories here. A leaked video to employees of United Health shows the CEO claiming disrespectful social media. So this is the new United CEO, Andrew Whitty, gave it a comment. So like they just like replaced the dude, just like he was a normal worker, not even the CEO. It's just that they gotta move somebody else in. Gave an address to the company today.
I'm sure everybody has been disturbed by the amount of negative and in many cases vitriolic media and commentary that has been produced over the last few days, particularly in the social media environment. And I want to reassure you of a few things.
I don't know what he's talking about.
We are going to continue to make sure that we put patients, consumers and members first, as we always have done. The mission of this company is truly to make sure that we help the system improve by helping the experience for individuals get better and better. There was nobody who did more to try and advance that mission than Brian Thompson. And there are very few people in the history of the US healthcare industry who had a bigger positive effect on American healthcare than Brian. And we are going to make sure that we not only acknowledge and honour that legacy of Brian, but we will continue it.
Oh, really now?
And we make sure that care is safe, appropriate, and is delivered when people need it. And we guard against the pressures that exist for unsafe care.
You might be right, Michael.
Care to be delivered in a way.
I couldn't make out what he was saying when I watched it on my phone. I didn't know there were captions on it until I watched it just now with you guys.
Which makes the whole system too complex and ultimately unsustainable. So we're going to continue to make that case. We will continue to do the work we do. And I have
really
never been more proud of this company and our colleagues and what this company does on behalf of people in need across the country.
Funny you should say that.
That critical noise that we're hearing right now. It does not reflect reality. It is simply a sign of an era in which we live.
Yeah.
What we must do is
but we're on the verge of revolution.
And what we know to be true is that the health system needs a company like United Health Group, and it needs people like Brian within it. We're fortunate that within this company we have so many people driven and inspired in the
I condemn this dude.
and we will continue in our journey to help everybody who needs it within the health environment.
Come on,
Come on, man.
So full of shit, dude. I think we're on the verge of something. I think something's happening here in this country. And CEOs are not getting the rest that they should be. A few years ago, there was a book and a podcast. It was called Pitchfork Economics, and it was this economist telling these CEOs, these rich motherfuckers, that they need to operate their companies as if the pitchforks are going to come for them, because if they don't, the pitchforks are going to come for them. And we're like 7-8 years on from that, and like, speaking as somebody who would be a wonderful candidate to take the pitchforks to, his name is Peter Thiel. He helped buy the Trump presidency. He got all sweaty on Piers Morgan.
And to those who think this shooter is a hero because he did it because he said this healthcare executive was presiding over a healthcare system which kills thousands of Americans by denying them cover, what would you say to them?
It's I don't know what to say. I think I still think you should try to make an argument, and I think this is you should, there may be things wrong with our healthcare system, but you have to make an argument, and you have to try to find a way to convince people and change it by that. And this is not going to work.
Pete,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there are all sorts of things one could say about it, but I don't think, and I think the motives feel, I don't want to go into all the particulars here, but I don't think
he's buffering.
I don't think there's anything heroic about him.
Oh, I'm sure you don't. There's a reason why you don't think there's anything heroic about him, and there's a reason why we feel there is something heroic about him. I hope you enjoyed that one. I had to skip earlier in the report that we were watching from NBC on Luigi. They were stepping on this. I wanted to do I think this is the local news hit on it. Fox News Now of the court appearance of the woman in Florida. It's gonna play for me. YouTube must have updated their shit. It causes me problems.
Again, we've been talking a lot about the murder of the United Healthcare CEO. A Florida woman has now been charged with threatening her health insurance provider during a phone conversation.
Oh, Michael, I think Peter Thiel is like autistic or some shit. I think he's like a high-functioning numbers. If you've ever seen the show Silicon Valley, what's the Peter Gregory? Like the actor that plays him dies after the first season, but like that character was based on Peter Thiel. I like the woman that replaces him, but like, he is really good in that role.
After police say she uttered the same words that were found on the bullet casings used in the killing of an insurance executive in New York. Brianna Boston, 42 years old, told a representative of Blue Cross Blue Shield, quote, delay, deny, depose, you people are next, as they ended a phone call Tuesday in which she unsuccessfully challenged.
I saw somebody mention that, like, she can say that to a group of an insurance company. I don't know who she said it to. I guess like the customer service line. But like a woman who is being threatened by her boyfriend, you know, can't report him to the police. Like, oh, he has to do something before we can do anything about it.
Challenge the company's denial of her insurance claim. Those allegations coming from police in Lakeland, Florida. The words delay, deny, and depose were written on the casings left at the scene of the shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson on a New York City street back on December 4th. The words reflect the delay, deny, defend strategy that some insurance companies use in dealing with expensive claims, delay the decision, deny the claim, and aggressively defend themselves. Our Fox 13 Tampa team has more.
A 42-year-old married mother of 3 from Lakeland was in court charged with threats to conduct an act of terrorism and a mass shooting for a phone call with a healthcare agent.
Charges written threat to kill or injure, conduct a mass shooting or an act of terrorism. That's a second-degree felony, punished by 15 years in Florida State Prison.
She's accused
of Blue
Cross Blue Shield employee using the now infamous language associated with the accused United Healthcare CEO killer. Brianna Boston admitted to saying, delay, deny, depose, you people are next. We spoke with a lawyer.
Trying to accuse her of threatening a mass shooting, that was not a threat of a mass shooting.
About the case.
I think it's an overcharge. In reality, there's nothing in her communication that specifically says she's going to commit a mass shooting. I think it's more falls on that free speech line, on that protected speech. Although stupid, although ignorant, something you shouldn't say. The law allows you to say stupid.
Yes, defend this woman.
It's not what's called a true threat.
He said a true threat would be to a particular person or a more actionable statement. He likened her angry language to what thousands are posting on social media this week.
If you post something stupid on Twitter and it's read by somebody who may work for some company and they're taking it as a threat, then are we going to go and arrest every person on Twitter because they say stupid things? In this case, really,
Turning Worlds think you were being a freaking
somebody
follower.
who talked to an individual who she doesn't know, has never met, has never probably even spoken to, and said words that a lot of people are uttering on social media.
Still, the judge in her first court appearance setting bond at $100,000.
What?
Referencing the tensions in the U.S. around healthcare right now.
I do
That's a 10 grand.
Of $100,000 is appropriate considering the
Wow.
country it's in.
Fuck
I
this
think that was for her
judge.
in reality, because it goes back to her saying this is political hyperbole. This is me expressing my frustration.
And that was our Fox 13 Tampa team.
A mom of 3.
You are taking a live look over New York City as we know that Luigi Mangione could actually give up his extradition fight. That is according to Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg.